keep grinding with our Week 6 starts and sits. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. And for those of you guys that are first-time listeners, you did not notice our new intro music, but all those long-time followers, you guys probably noticed I switched up the intro music just a little bit there. Found a little bit of a cleaner version. I also have a little bit new of outro music, so make sure you stay around to check that out at the end. But I'm excited. We're going to be talking about Week 6 starts and sits and helping you guys with your lineups here this week. And we're getting right into the grinding part of the season. 5 weeks in, there's a lot of teams that are out there that are 1-4, 2-3, 0-5, and it's feeling like it's impossible. But you guys can definitely come back. We're here to help you guys 1 week at a time. And then there's a lot of teams out there that are, 5-0, 4-1. And they're feeling really sitting pretty, right? They're feeling really good and like they're on top of the world. And it's easy to fall off and really not continue that grind, but you guys got to keep going until the very end. We're about a quarter of the way, third of the way through the season, so you got to make sure you make it to the end, and let's hopefully get you guys a couple titles out there. So that said, we're your hosts. I'm happy to be here, Calvin Timms, and my co-host Dale Terry. You can follow us on Twitter at TDC_Calvin for myself, at Dynasty_Dale for Dale, and you can find the podcast at FF After Dark. And before we get into the video today, it's going to be a good one. I just want to give a quick plug to the sports betting podcast that me and my sister are doing. That's going to be dropping on Saturday. It's Betting After Dark. We're creating the After Dark Network, which the After Dark Podcast Network. That'll be, I don't know, we'll figure something out, but I kind of like it. It's got something there. It's got a little bit of juice. But no, we're going to be going through, last week we went through a lot of betting basics for beginners and gave a few money lines and betting lines to kind of attack this last weekend. This week, we're going to cut out the beginner information because we already went over it. We'll give you a few tips and tricks, but for the most part, we're going to be tackling a lot of the betting lines that we really like for this upcoming weekend. We're probably going to hit a little bit of college and a little bit of NFL as well. So quick shout out to that. Before we get into that, though, Dale, how we doing?
Hey, I'm doing really well. I am one of those teams that's 5-0 that is trying not to get complacent, with losing like Justin Jefferson and Devon Achane and, everybody else that's gone down with injuries
right.
so far. So, it is very, very important in fantasy football just to be aware of the waiver wire. If you're in redraft or in dynasty, like you might find some gems that are just sitting out on your waiver wire.
Yeah, DeMarcado was out there in pretty much every league, right? So there's a couple in Dynasty, but no, it's tough. Luckily for you, I think that you'll get Achane back and you'll get Justin Jefferson back eventually, and I do think he's going to come back at some point. Quick shout out to the Devi Degen podcast. I recorded with them yesterday. That's going to be dropping on Friday, so make sure you guys go check that podcast out as well. But we did a quick little wide receiver mock draft in season, kind of gave you guys some our thoughts on how we would take these guys in a startup right now and how it kind of shook out that way. And hopefully you guys liked my picks, but you can let me know down in the comments below what you thought and what your thoughts were on it. But in that one, we did talk about Justin Jefferson because I took Jamar Chase over Justin Jefferson right now as the number one guy. And it's all literally just due to the injury and also because we don't know what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins. But that said, I'll say here what I said there. Justin Jefferson wants a contract, and the only way to get a big contract is with as many stats as humanly possible. So I think he's going to come back and he's going to want to play. So that's my take, but I can see the argument for him sitting out as well. Mm-hmm. So good luck, sir. I'm sure you'll get a couple of those players back. Maybe you can roll.
I'm needing it because in that league, like I've lost Aaron Rodgers week 1. I think week 2 it was Nick Chubb, and then now in week 5 it's Justin Jefferson, and it's feeling like the world's falling apart because I'm going against a team that is favored by like 40 against me. So feeling fantastic.
Yeah, feels great. Feels great.
Yeah, it does. All the time.
So the podcast, you're obviously listening to this somewhere, but we're available on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple, everywhere, Rumble, everywhere that podcasts are found. So if you want to find us in a different format, we are there for you guys. Video, we're on YouTube and Rumble, Spotify, Apple, Google. That's all just audio only, but we've got option for you guys. So while you're there, if you can, please subscribe to the channel. Just helps us out there, and leave a couple comments down in the comments below. Talk about, whether you think our takes are great or not, or whether you think Justin Jefferson, perfect talking point down below is whether or not you think Justin Jefferson's going to be coming back this season. We'd love to hear from you guys there. All right, Dale, you ready to jump into this?
Can't wait.
All right, this first game is going to be a banger, as they say.
Yeah.
The 1-4 Denver Broncos going to the Kansas City Chiefs, 4-1 in Denver for Thursday Night Football. A little bit of weather predicaments, but yeah, we're going to try and just talk about starts and sits for these guys and give you our thoughts on all the players. But I think this is the best format because we get to talk about every game and every player in every game just a little bit here. So kick it off, Dale. Russell Wilson, start or sit?
I am starting Russell Wilson. I'm staying in the flames with him. He's quarterback 8 on the season. He's been playing really well, and it's not his fault that they're 1-4. It's their atrocious defense. So
yeah, it's bad.
I'm staying in the flames with him.
Yep. I think that a lot of people out there are blaming Russell Wilson for this team being 1-4, and it's just, he's playing well. Like he's not old school Russ where he was like Hall of Fame Russ, but he's not garbage Russ that we saw last year, right? So he's kind of somewhere in the middle. The biggest thing for me is going to be what happens to him if they do trade some of these players. They're talking about trading Courtland Sutton. They're talking about Jerry Jeudy. Ultimately, they're probably not going to move all these guys. They're only going to move one of them. But is that going to really hurt Russell Wilson and his fantasy value? Who knows, but we don't have to worry about it this week. I'm with you. Start him if you got him. Obviously, Mahomes is a must-start always. You're never going to sit this guy. Running back wise, I'm starting Isaiah Pacheco. That's the only real running back that I like to start here. McKinnon, he's just not reliable.
Yeah, he's not, and then on the other side, with like Javante's, he's coming back from a quad injury. And this Kansas City defense is legit, and and I don't think this is the matchup for him to really succeed. So, if you have to start him, he can go in your flex, but I wouldn't go any further than that.
McLaughlin, what do we think about him? Do you think it was just kind of a flash in the pan for him?
I think it was a flash in the pan. He's more of a change of pace guy. And I don't really care with this defense. I'm not really going to start really a lot of running backs against this defense. Yeah,
he popped off a couple big runs, but other than that, it wasn't really successful for him last week. So this is like the Jalen Warren syndrome of he had a couple big flashy runs, so he must be an amazing up-and-coming guy, and it's just, don't get your hopes up too much, guys. Wide receiver wise, Jerry Jeudy I think is startable. I don't love it. I wish they would trade him to another team. I actually would not hate it if the Carolina Panthers came and traded for Jerry Jeudy. I'm not the biggest Bryce Young fan, but Bryce Young's accuracy with Jerry Jeudy would be like the chef's kiss, right?
It would be.
It'd be great. Jerry Jeudy would be a PPR machine over in Carolina. So hopefully they trade him before this game so you don't have to make this decision. But Jerry Jeudy, if you can sit him, I would, but he is definitely flex worthy. What about Courtland Sutton?
He's also flex worthy. I feel more comfortable starting Sutton than Jeudy personally. With how the season's progressed. He's just gotten more targets, and he's gotten more red zone targets. So, I personally feel that Sutton is the number one in the offense compared to Jeudy. Yeah,
that's why I think Judy's going to be on the outs. He's going to be the one that gets traded ultimately, but because I also don't think they've paid Jeudy yet. So there's that benefit to it as well, where you got some dead money with Courtland Sutton. On the flip side, Rashee Rice, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, any of these guys startable? Good.
I'm not. So I saw a stat. It was the other day that said that Rice and Toney are like 1 and 2 on drop percentages this year, and I don't really think that's going to change anytime super soon for them. I mean they might need like hand surgery to get better hands, but but that's beside the point. Yeah, I'm not starting any of them until one of them kind of breaks out for a couple games, and
Fair enough.
then and then still then I don't feel comfortable starting them.
I think Rashee Rice is flex worthy, but only if you absolutely have to.
You have to. Yes.
Tight end wise, Adam Troutman, don't start him. Travis Kelce, start him. That's about it there.
100%.
So.
Yep.
Fun game. We'll see if there's any fantasy value for Denver, but it's gonna be over early. It feels like in that one.
Probably.
All right, London game, 9:30 on Sunday. Baltimore goes to Tennessee in London and gets to play them. Now, Lamar Jackson, I know we differ a little bit on this one.
Yep.
I am nervous about Lamar Jackson. I would sit him if you had a better option, but more than likely you probably don't, so you're going to start him. But I'm just not thrilled with Lamar Jackson in this offense right now. I think that this offense is struggling a little bit, but it's very hard to find a name better than Lamar Jackson with his rushing upside. It's just very hard to bench him, but I would definitely if I could.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him at all. With how Zach Moss ran against this Tennessee, defense, which I know Lamar's not a running back, but he's a very talented runner, and he's going to run quite a bit because they don't really have reliable running backs now. So, I wouldn't be shocked if he's a top 10 quarterback this week, just based on his rushing potential. I could see him rushing in a couple, and I think last week that he would have had better numbers if
they caught the ball.
If they would have caught the ball, so in the end zone. Yep. So I mean I know he only had about 12 points last week, which is almost a season low for him. But I don't think that's I feel that's more of an aberration to what he's going to be doing.
Fair enough. Ryan Tannehill must sit, never start, never start.
Not start him. Please don't do that.
Derrick Henry, he's flex worthy, but he's just not been the elite guy that we've kind of seen. I don't think Baltimore's the defense that's going to get right for him this week. So Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears are kind of flex worthy, but they're low end flex worthy for me at this point. I'm not starting anybody on Baltimore personally. How do you see this situation?
Yeah. It's for the running backs. No, if J.K. Dobbins didn't tear his Achilles, I'd be all over it. But that's a whole different story for a different day. Obviously.
Right.
So on the Tennessee side, I'm more than happy starting either of these players. Either Henry or Spears. With Spears in particular, he's it's the past few weeks he's been averaging about 4 targets a game. And 4 receptions, honestly, so that's
in PPR. It's great. Easy. He's got a solid floor for sure.
Yep. So. Yeah. So as a bye week fill-in, like if you're getting 10 points, that's fantastic.
Yep. Could be worse. Could definitely be worse.
It could be.
Especially with injuries and all that stuff too.
Yep.
Starting to pile up. Wide receiver, I think Zay Flowers and DeAndre Hopkins are both startable. Hopkins, we saw a little bit of the old Hopkins last week, and I think that's going to be a more staple feature of this offense going forward. They saw it worked, so they're going to continue to do that. And then Zay Flowers, I think that he's just the PPR machine for this offense. And I know he had a couple drops last week, but I think that they're trying to involve him the most out of all these guys.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I'm not really going to want to start anybody else until they become more
consistent.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm probably never going to start Odell again or Bateman. Burks has been injured, and that offense is pretty gross. So.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah. Mark Andrews must start. You got to start 100%. Him. And then Chig, I think, is startable, but there's better options out there.
I think there's better options.
Just to put it to a test, the next guy we're going to talk about, would you rather start Chig or Logan Thomas?
Logan Thomas, 100%.
All right, fair enough. So let's go to that game really quickly here. 1 o'clock, the Washington Commanders go to Atlanta to play the 3-2 Atlanta Falcons. Falcons, man.
It's gross.
It's
going to be a gross. It's going to be a gross game. I really wish like the Falcons would trade for a quarterback. Like Kirk Cousins would be nice.
Man. Kirk Cousins. They'll never do it though. They will never do it.
I know they won't, but it would be a perfect situation for them to win the division.
I agree.
Like make some noise in the playoffs because it's a very 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 winnable
The division is
NFC.
there for the taking, but it is what it is. Washington, they're a little bit weaker in their secondary, so I actually think Desmond Ridder is startable this week. I'd rather start Desmond Ridder than Sam Howell because Atlanta, their secondary is their strong point versus their defensive front is a little bit weaker. So I think Desmond Ridder is more startable than Sam Howell, so that's how I kind of am. I think that he's going to be able to put 2 and 2 together here this week. I'm not saying that he's fixed for the rest of the season, but I think he's definitely startable in this one. What are your thoughts on the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I am opposite of that. I would much rather start Sam Howell. I think he's been the more consistent one. I mean, it has helped that he's had garbage time,
Right.
the past couple of weeks. It's to be able to catch up. But that's going to be part of this Commanders team that they're just going to be playing catch up sometimes.
Fair enough.
I feel overall, other than that horrific Bills game, he's been really consistent. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ride with Hal over Ridder here. And
Except that,
I really hope,
the multi is that the Bills game where he had like 5 turnovers.
He had 4 picks. He scored 0.6 points in that's really bad.
Yep. All right. For the running backs, I think the B-Robs are both playable.
Yep.
B. Robinsons, Brian and Bijan. Again, Washington's front is a little bit better, but Bijan is being utilized in the passing game more than Tyler Algier. And, Bijan is he's so smooth, man. He's so smooth. Yeah. Brian Robinson, I think, is playable. Again, Atlanta's secondary is no joke, but their front can be beat. You can definitely run on Atlanta, and I think Brian Robinson's been good all season long. He's just not getting he's not getting a ton of passing usage, and he's not getting touchdowns. And I do think that's going to be something that changes. He's too talented, busting off too many big runs to not get a few more touchdowns here. And I think this is a perfect matchup for him to get one in the end zone.
Agreed.
Other than that, Gibson, he had his first double-digit point total this last week, but him and Algier, I'm not unless I have to.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. It's too risky right now, and with Gibson especially, like I would rather play Algier than Gibson because I know that Algier is going to be on the field.
Right. Yep, I'm with you. Wide receivers, Terry McLaurin must start. Dotson, Curtis Samuel, how you feel about those two?
I feel really good about Curtis Samuel. I feel he's played really he's been pretty consistent this year.
Mm-hmm.
And the past couple of weeks he's been very consistent, and he's been targeted about 7-8 times a game. He's been averaging 18 plus points a game, and I think he's somebody that you could start potentially on a weekly basis if he keeps going at this club.
Yeah, he's someone that we saw very early in the season. He was Bieniemy's favorite toy out there. It just wasn't working out that well in the first couple weeks from a production standpoint, but now it seems like they're getting something together, so I like that a lot. On the other side, Drake London, I think he's very playable. Again, Washington, their secondary is beatable. That's the only real wide receiver I want to start here for these guys. 100%. Keep an eye on Van Jefferson. I know they just traded for him. Maybe just take a flyer on him in your leagues, but just keep an eye on him. He's worth watching. Now, tight end wise, I think both Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith are startable. I actually started 100%. Both of them in the league last week, and it worked out well for me. Logan Thomas is startable. Again, he's getting the usage, but I'd rather start Chig, but I can see the arguments for Logan Thomas.
I would much rather start Logan Thomas because I just feel that Hal's going to pass to him more.
Fair.
And
he likes to target him in the red zone for sure. So, it's kind of a coin flip, but. Logan Thomas has the ceiling play over someone like Chig right now for sure. All right, let's go to the next game. The Minnesota Vikings go to the Chicago Bears. This is the Caleb Williams Bowl 2.0. Both teams are 1-4, and we get to find out which team is going to be better, worse, better. I don't know which one it's more important to win for. I think the Bears are going to lose this one ultimately.
I think the opposite.
Really?
I think the Bears are a better team, and I think I believe immensely in Justin Fields.
I mean, he's really good. The problem, My only thing with Justin Fields, and he's startable. Both of these quarterbacks are startable this week. Even without 100%. Justin Jefferson, I think Kirk Cousins 100%. Is still startable. Yep. The Bears defense is not ferocious enough to destroy Kirk Cousins, right? So they're not going to be able to pressure him that much that it's going to scare you from a fantasy perspective. But the problem with Justin Fields is last week he didn't complete a target to anyone other than Cole Kmet and DJ Moore.
Because he didn't have to.
I know he didn't have to, but if you have guys,
I don't care.
If they double team DJ Moore,
I'm tired of the.
No, it's not Justin Fields. I'm worried about the other weapons on this team. That's all I'm saying.
Right. In for Minnesota, like they don't have the back end to be.
They could triple team DJ Moore. They could.
I don't think they have the athletes to do it.
That's fair.
That is
fair.
I feel. I mean, Cole Kmet's there,
Yeah, that's true.
So you have Cole Kmet and like Mooney can maybe try to catch a pass.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But, and again, we're arguing about actual game score. Either way, Justin Fields is still startable. I just wish they would run him a little bit more this upcoming week. They've really limited his running.
I feel that's going to open up more because he's going to be more of a threat of passing the ball. So
yeah.
I kind of feel that's going to come with
time. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so I'm not worried about that. So.
That's fair. Now, running back wise, Khalil Herbert's out for a little while. Got banged up. Roshan, Deonta Foreman. I think Roshan had a concussion, if I remember right, too. So
practicing today. Yes, he has a concussion.
So Deonta Foreman, I would rather not. I'd rather go Tajay Spears personally.
Yep, 100%.
On the flip side, Minnesota. Alexander Madison's still playable. They're bringing Cam Akers on a little slower than I wanted them to when they traded for him. I do think that there's at any time he could take over this backfield, but for now you just got to keep rolling with Madison over Akers.
Agreed. So I mean, I'm fine with like starting Madison in your flex. I don't think he's running back starting. He's not a starting running back worthy quite yet. But
I think he's going to have a better game against Chicago though if they give him the work. Because Chicago, you can run all over them. So wide receivers. So basically, Madison is a start. I think he's a low end starter, top 24 guy, but definitely flex worthy this week.
Yep.
Wide receivers, Jordan Addison. People are going to say slam start him. And I'll say what I talked about on the Dynasty DGen podcast. The only fear I have for Jordan Addison, he was a smaller receiver coming out. And he has immensely benefited from Justin Jefferson taking all of the pressure off of him so far as early on in his career. We will find out in this game whether or not he can be a number one, right? Or a 1A, kind of like a T. Higgins. If he can succeed with no Justin Jefferson on this team, even if it is a little bit of a mediocre Chicago team, then we know that he is legit and he can be that guy that a lot of people think he can be. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying, pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe we wait and see, because Justin Jefferson being out changes the dynamic of this team pretty heavily, in my opinion.
It does. I agree with that. I will say that you are and always have been biased on small-bodied wide receivers.
Hey, I've been getting better, man. I like Jordan Addison a lot too. I just don't know if he can be the one without someone else.
I mean, that's been the fear with like for the Eagles.
Devonta
Smith,
right?
Yeah. So,
and he wasn't that great when there was no AJ Brown. You know what I mean?
He wasn't super great, but like he was still
he was useful, right?
He was very startable. So,
he was like wide receiver 18 that year. But Jordan Addison is startable. You're gonna start him. Just 100%. Be ready for a potentially bad day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's gonna put up Justin Jefferson numbers by any means.
Right.
And I'm sure some people are thinking that, but he's not going to do that.
No, for sure.
I mean, but I'm comfortable starting Addison and KJ Osborne.
You are willing to start KJ? He had that egregious drop last week, but I think that he's shown enough that he can kind of pinch hit if need be. So on the flip side, DJ Moore, and then cut cut bait for the other receivers.
100%.
Just like I talked about, I don't think it's a Justin Fields problem. I think it's a wide receiver problem. I really want if the Bears are like have a top pick, I really want them to just take Marvin Harrison and keep Fields, but we'll see. We will see. We'll talk about that in this offseason.
Amazing to watch.
Yep. Tight end wise, Hawkinson, Kmet, both startable. Go ahead. Feel free. Have fun.
Agreed.
These guys are guys that you can, especially Hawkinson, man. Without Justin Jefferson, I think he's gonna have a massive game.
He is gonna eat until JJ comes back.
All right, next 1 o'clock game here. We're going to talk about Seattle going to the Cincinnati Bengals. 3-1 Seahawks coming off their bye. I think that they're actually going to get the win here. I know Burrow started to look a little bit better, but they're going to Cincinnati, get to play them. Both quarterbacks are startable.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this Seattle offense. You know,
I think off the bye, it's startable though.
Yeah, I do too. And you know, I think Gino is like top 15. You know,
he's not someone that I must start this week, but unless you're in a super flex, I think he's definitely startable there.
Yeah, and I was definitely wrong about Joe Burrow last week. I will be very honest.
I was too, man. I thought there was going to be a blowout, but
I thought it was going to be rough. But you know, with him,
he's looking better. He's looking healthier.
He is. He's looking a lot better. So you know, he's almost back in must-start territory.
All right, now running back wise, and I do think Burrow is startable this week. Don't get me wrong there.
100%.
Now running back wise, Kenneth Walker, you got to start him. He's just getting too much volume. On the Charbonnet, you can't start yet. He's not getting the volume.
He's getting a little bit better with the targets, I will say.
Fair.
On the target wise, that has gone up while like Kenneth Walker's targets have gone down. So that's something
minor. And the only problem with that is we only have 4 games of sample. So let's see if that was just like a usage thing in those games. But definitely that's a good point. Something to monitor there. On the flip side, Joe Mixon, is he startable? I actually would not be starting Joe Mixon this week. I do not like his matchup. Seattle's been good against the run. Coming off the bye, they're going to be a little fresher. Their defense is looking better. If you can pivot off Joe Mixon, I definitely would this week.
I mean, I'm fine with flexing him. Like, you know, I mean, I would rather start him over like King Henry. You know, so that's kind of where I'm at. Like,
okay.
I'm fine in the flex, but not really. Like, if you're in a 2 running back league, I don't feel comfortable with him being your second running back. But
right,
you know,
I would rather start
player. I'm okay.
I'd rather start Madison than Mixon personally. Like, for example.
Well, yeah.
Just based on matchup, it's solely on that.
I hear that.
Wide receiver wise, DK Metcalf startable, Tyler Lockett startable, JSN not startable, unfortunately.
Not yet. Yeah, and I don't know what they're doing with JSN.
It's Pete Carroll, man.
I know it's
Pete
weird,
Carroll,
and I don't want to talk about it and get sad. So
I know.
Let's move on to Jamar Chase. He's a must start as well.
T Higgins, is he playing? Is he playing?
I don't. Let's see what he's questionable. He's got the rib injury.
I don't think he's playable yet until he's
healthy.
Because those rib injuries, man, like he's not going to be. Well, the problem with the wide receiver quickly is that they have to go out there and like T Higgins is not a route finesser, right? He's not going to be someone who just smooths his way open 5 yards.
He's kind of like Mike Williams.
Yeah, he's more of I'm going to make a big catch and kind of make my name that way. And to make those big catches, sometimes you have to lay yourself out. And with a rib injury, that's hard to like mentally prepare yourself for. Like, hey, if I stretch all the way out here to go for this ball, I'm going to get cracked in the ribs and it's going to hurt really bad. So I'm saying sit T Higgins until he's healthy. But you know, it is what it is there. Are you interested in starting Boyd at all this week?
Not really. I mean, I could
Chase
flex
or
him,
nothing.
But yeah, Chase or nothing. I mean, and like for instance, like I would rather start Cortland Sutton than Tyler Boyd.
Fair enough. Noah Fant, Irv Smith, Colby Parkinson, any of these guys? No, sit them all.
No, thank you. Sit them
Noah
all.
Fant is finally getting used a little bit more, so just monitor that.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
He's gross.
He's a Iowa tight end, man. They're just
I literally
made different.
don't care. I would rather move on to the next match.
All right, just keep an eye on it. I'll say that much. But yeah, something to monitor. All right, next matchup. This one's going to be interesting. The problem is we don't know if Watson's going to be playing yet. Yep. So 5-0 San Francisco goes to the 2-2 Cleveland Browns. Man, it's crazy that an injury, like a bruise, is what they're talking about for Watson, has kept him out so long.
It's oddly lingering. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know if like the weight of Watson's back pocket is lingering, is lingering this issue, or what's going on.
Yeah,
it's really hard telling, and I don't want to speak ill of a player, but
if he plays, are you starting him? I am. I'm fine with it.
I would be okay with it. I wouldn't feel great. I mean, he has played pretty well.
He's fine for fantasy. Yeah, like, I don't think they're going to win the game or anything, but he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Purdy's startable for sure.
Yeah, Purdy's 100% startable. I think I would rather, like, for Watson, like, I would rather play like Sam Howell than Deshaun Watson personally. And
no chance.
That's just me. That's
fair
just
enough.
me. I'm not very high on Deshaun Watson. And,
I'm not high on Sam Howell, so that's fair.
And if Watson's going to play, he's going to be a little bit injured and a little bit sore, and I can see him reverting back to what he was last year.
I saw someone put on Twitter the one time an actual massage would help Deshaun Watson.
Exactly. And he's probably banned for life, but that's beside the point.
That's funny. So. Running back wise, is Jerome Ford startable for Cleveland? I am not against San Francisco.
No,
not against San Francisco.
Not against San Francisco. I feel the bigger question is that will Christian McCaffrey score his 15th straight touchdown? Yes, I agree with that. So,
yes.
So let's move on.
Dude's a monster. So what we're saying is sit Christian McCaffrey in all your leagues this upcoming week.
Thank you. Yes.
Brandon Ayuk, I think he's startable. Debo's been disappointing. You got to start him, but man, he's just been so disappointing the last couple weeks. So, unfortunately, that's just the Niners. Outside of Christian McCaffrey, they all have ups, they all have downs. You got to start them all every single week, and you just got to hope and pray that the guy that you're starting this week is the guy that goes off. So, Debo's startable, but again, you just got to.
It doesn't feel super good.
Right. Yeah. Flip side, Amari Cooper without Watson is unstartable. I think nobody on this team is startable without Watson. Is that fair?
I think it is. I'm actually okay potentially with Elijah Moore
without Watson.
I feel they do a lot of dink and dunk stuff with him, and a lot of. And I know it's gross. But I think he could be a startable asset.
Yeah, fair enough.
A flex consideration. I wouldn't.
Fair enough. Amari Cooper, though, I think both of them are startable though if Watson plays.
Yes, 100%.
But yeah. David Njoku, he's low end flex worthy. I'd rather start Chig personally, but it's always so tough with David Njoku. You love him, you hate him, but it is what it is.
And with him coming off of his his facial burns and stuff like that, like if you guys saw that picture, which would be Wednesday night, of him, like that's I feel it's pretty crazy that he played and he played really well. So I'm gonna stay with him. I was about to say in the flames, and that's not really appropriate. Shame
too soon, bro. Too soon.
I know, too soon. And I hope he heals up good, and I think he's going to be just fine. So
that was a fire burn there.
Yeah, it literally was. So let's move on to George Kittle and him.
George Kittle, again, you got to start him. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was about to say, like, George Kittle and him saying F you to the Cowboys, which I think was fantastic. So
that was pretty good. Pretty good.
That was hilarious. So, yeah, I mean, I'm starting George Kittle, even though
he'll probably get one catch for 10 yards and you'll be 100%. Sad. But you got to do it. You just got to roll with it at tight end. It's a great position, guys. It's a great
100%.
position.
Love it. Love everything.
All right. Next matchup is going to be interesting, at least. The 3-2 New Orleans Saints go to the 2-3 Houston Texans. Derek Carr versus CJ Stroud. New Orleans defense is good. It's very good.
Yeah,
very good up front, but we've seen this before. New Orleans does not have that good of a secondary, and Pittsburgh is the exact same way, right? Their defensive front is nasty. Their secondary not so strong, and CJ Stroud just picked them apart. So we'll see what happens in this one. Are you willing to start CJ Stroud or Derek Carr?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Would you rather start Derek Carr or Ryan Tannehill?
I'd rather start a bullet to the brain.
Don't say that to me, Calvin. But I mean, some people could be facing that. So like, who would you rather
Derek
start?
Carr.
Yeah, I would too. But I just wanted the Derek Carr slander from you.
Oh, dude, it's so bad.
But anyways, I'm not starting Derek Carr if I absolutely have to. I would rather start nobody almost at this point. CJ Stroud's
playable for sure.
I'm fine with starting him.
He was good still last week with no touchdown. So he's so pinpoint accurate, man. Like we talked about all offseason. So he's startable for sure. Running back wise, I'm not starting anybody for Houston. Kendre Miller's low key somebody to watch.
I was gonna ask you about Kendre Miller and if we could flex him.
Not yet. You need to see a little bit more from him, like consistency. It was a great sign last week, but I'm just not betting on it consistently.
Well, and it was a more positive game script for him too. So,
and I think it'll be that way here too. So, if he can do it again, back-to-back weeks and positive game scripts, that's setting the foundation for we know when we can kind of rely on him a little bit more going forward, right? Alvin Kamara, I do think he's startable. I do too. He's just getting peppered with so many targets because Derek Carr can't throw more than 5 yards down the field, so he's fine.
Yep. So let's go to the wide receivers.
Is Tank Dell going to be
Chris Olave?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, are we feeling good about Chris Olave
in this matchup? Yeah, I think he's fine. Him and Michael Thomas, their floors are super high. Olave is the guy that you should be proud of me, man. I actually took Olave in that DGen wide receiver mock with. Are you
feeling well, Calvin?
I know, man. I took him in. That mock was actually pretty wild because I ended up taking I took Brandon Ayuk and Chris Olave as my 8 and 9, like the number 8 and number 9 wide receiver. So
my God.
Yeah. So I took Chris Olave because he was there. But I do like him. I think he is proving, and I took him over like Garrett Wilson, for example. And the reason being is like everything on paper says that Garrett Wilson should be the better receiver, but Chris Olave just outperforms him. So, at this point, you just got to give the credit to Chris Olave there and respect it, So I think he's fine in this matchup. Michael Thomas is playable. Nico Collins, definitely startable.
Yep.
Tank Dell is, if he's healthy, it helps Nico Collins. If he's not healthy, that kind of limits it a little bit for Nico. But I think both of those guys, as long as they're playing, are startable. Are you good with those three? Are you starting Robert Woods?
I'm not even getting close to Robert Woods. He's consistent, but consistently not very good. So
fair enough.
I would much rather start Tank Dell and take the goose, and take the chance that like he could do really well or not do anything compared to, Robert Woods, who's going to give you like 4 points.
Right. Are you starting the doctor, Dr. Schultz?
Give me the doctor. I'm gonna be in the flames with him.
He showed a lot of improvement last week, so we'll see if that can continue. But we were wondering the entire offseason, like, where the heck is this guy? But took a little while for him to show up. But
here he is. Yeah,
he got back from his extended vacation, so Dr. Schultz is finally playable. And I think it helps a lot too to give another outlet for CJ Stroud.
Yes.
So I think he's playable for sure. Again, there's worse starts out there. Like, would you rather start Chig or Dalton Schultz?
Dalton Schultz.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so we're going to call it there. That is half the matchups, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So we're going to be back tomorrow with the rest of the matchups, and hopefully you guys like this. We're trying to speed up the format a little bit for you guys, just to not drag it on too much. But again, we like this format just so we can talk about all the different players and our thoughts on all the games in general. Make sure you guys go check out the betting podcast. Drops on Saturday on the channel. It should be Saturday morning. Again, we're going to have college football bets. We're going to have some NFL bets, betting lines that we really like for this upcoming week with some good odds. We'll tell you where we're making those bets as well. So if you guys want to follow along, feel free. Made a little bit of money last week, so I'm up a little bit. My nerves are basically fried. I do not like gambling. I do know that, so it stresses me out. But
and that's why I don't gamble, because I would not have fun on Sundays.
It's a little bit of fun to it, but yeah, it's different.
I mean, I already have enough problems with fantasy football to have some money in it.
Right.
So like I just can't imagine doing it weekly and having money on the line.
Yeah, and that's where my sister comes in really handy, because she is a pro at sports betting. Like I legitimately, I don't like to bet, and I followed some of her advice last week, and she made me some money. So if you guys are interested in making a little bit of extra money, we're not somebody that's going to tell you how to make $1 million in the next 6 months. Make sure you check that out.
And it's just for entertainment purposes only,
right?
Like,
just a little bit of side cash.
What you want to do, and it's something that if you want to do for fun, just for entertainment purposes,
right? Or if you're a degenerate, whatever, you do you.
Either one, yes.
But that said, before we get out of here, please, if you can, one last time, like, comment, subscribe on the video. Just helps us out there. We're going to be rolling with content all year round, so it'll be a good time. But until next time, thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you check out our new outro music. Let me know your thoughts down below. And hit us up on Twitter at TDC_Calvin for myself, at Dynasty_Dale for my co-host here, and at FF After Dark for the podcast. Until next time, thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good night.
And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?